Moe is the first of two new brawlers coming into the next Brawl Stars update, and today I'm going to pit him 1v1 versus every other brawler in Brawl Stars to find out if he's any good. Spoiler alert, yeah, he's good. But maybe not like you think. Now, Moe is a blind mouse and a mythic damage dealer that is part of the Castle Courtyard trio with Ash and Grom. Now, since he is a mythic brawler, he is going to be a bit tougher to get, but you will have the option of switching to unlock him when he releases, or a week prior, there will be an in-app purchase that you can get him a week early. And if you do decide to get him early or pick up the Brawl Pass, I would greatly appreciate your support in using code LEX in the shop or at the Supercell store. It's free to do, and it really does help this channel and my family out, so thank you. Now, Moe has two attack forms, but one of them is only playable for a very short time after he supers. For his main attack, though, he throws a rock that bounces twice in a straight line at a decent range. Now, if the rock hits you, it will deal 1,000 damage. However, each time the rock bounces, 4 pebbles break out from the rock and go a short distance, dealing 1,000 damage to anything they hit as well. Now, if you use his first star power, the rock will bounce one additional time, causing even more pebbles to break off. And in my opinion, this is the better of the 2 star powers. Now, what this means is that while his shot doesn't deal a lot of direct damage, the pebbles can cause a lot of extra damage. However, in practice, it's almost impossible to predict how much damage you're actually going to do. Sometimes it's only 1,000. Most of the time, it's 2,000, but occasionally you'll get someone in the right spot and it'll deal 3,000 damage. And then, super rare, you'll be able to do 4,000 per shot to a single target. Although replicating that is very hard, even when standing perfectly still. However, this does mean that your shots will cause a significant amount of collateral damage to nearby enemies, even if you weren't aiming at them. Now, for his really cool trick, we need to look at his super. With this, Moe will hop into his drilling machine and dig underground along his target, including under walls, and then pop up at the other end, still in his machine. Now, if you hit anyone while under the ground, it deals 1,640 damage, but if they are at the end of the super where you come up from the underground, then you will deal double that damage and bounce them into the air briefly. Now, when you emerge, you will still be in your little driller, and you will gain a new attack where he drills enemies. Now, this damage is good, and it is non-stop. However, it does not last very long, and the range on it is extremely short. Now, it does take him quite a while to get that super built up, but you can get it much faster by using his dodgy digging gadget. This will increase the supercharge rate of all shots by 50% for 5 seconds. Or, if you want to cause some extra destruction, you can opt for his second gadget called Rat Race. With this, while still in his drilling machine, you can dash and break walls. Now, it is very useful for sure. However, you can only use this gadget after using your super. Now, for his second star power, all it basically does, despite the wording in the game, it just makes you move faster after you've used your super. But I think his first star power is superior to this one, and it'll be the one that I'm using. But probably the biggest tip about his super I can give you is that you don't have to aim it. In fact, many times you do not want to. If you auto-aim your super and an enemy is closer than the range of his full super, it will stop as soon as it gets to that enemy and pop up on them and deal all of that damage. And that is an extremely big benefit to him. So with all that in mind, let's start this off against the tanks. Just because it's kind of hilarious to see a tiny little mouse standing in front of this gigantic tank. Alright, now let's look at this objectively. Moe is a tiny mouse with only 6,400 hit points at max level, and he doesn't deal a huge amount of damage. And these tanks are the strongest and the toughest in the game. Bull destroys him in 2 quick shots, and SpongeBob El Primo beats him mercilessly. Someone probably ought to call PETA. Plankton Daryl absolutely destroys him, but still doesn't get that recipe. Now, these tanks, they could probably just step on Moe and take him out, but BB prefers to use her bat and smack him around, which she does with ease. Ash shows no mercy to a brawler from his trio. However, Moe does find a good spot against Hank, dealing 3,000 damage per shot, and it proves just enough to take him down before Hank gets off his second balloon. And he makes it a very close match with Meg, this time dealing 4,000 per shot, but she outguns him at the end. in what is kind of a pitiful fight. And that is about as close as he comes because both Buster and Draco destroy him without hesitation. Now in a game, yeah, it's not a pretty matchup for Moe. I mean, you're almost never going to get 4,000 a shot on targets moving around, and with only 6,400 hit points, you're better off honestly just running away. Now, if you can surprise a tank with your super, you might be able to win, but probably not if they're at full health, even with the added super damage and his drill. So in a game, just stay away from the tanks and use his speed to deal damage where they can't get you. Now on the opposite end of the spectrum, we have the artillery brawlers. Now Sprout did make it an awful close duel, bringing Moe to the brink of death, and Larry and Lori got decently close as well, but the other brawlers, well, yeah, they got sliced up. Moe's direct damage may not be crazy, but it was definitely enough to take out all of the other throwers in this low hit point class without even breaking a sweat. Now in a game, Moe does have some advantages here as well. Throwers of course like to stay behind a wall and do their thrower things, but Moe can go directly under that wall, and if he pops up on you as a thrower, there is very little chance of you making it out alive. So when you are facing Moe, be on your toes and be ready to run from his super. You can also pre-fire some shots if you have an idea of where he's coming up and maybe deal some significant damage before he can even attack you, but all in all, it's not a real favorable matchup against the throwers. Oh, and also, Brawl Stars has taken Penny out of the artillery brawlers and put her in with the controllers, so let's see how the controllers fare against Moe. Now, while Moe is classified as a damage dealer, in some ways, I think that he could kind of fit into this group. First off, as you can see, these matchups are quite close between a lot of these brawlers. Bo wins by just a split second as they both go down. Jesse loses, but gets Moe very low. And it's the same story for Penny as well. Ems, however, she just has too much damage to lose to a rat, and Griff can just melt about any brawler. Now Gale also wins, but it's not by much, and even Jean gets really close to winning. Mr. P gets 2 bounces off that leads to a win, and Squeak would have gotten him if that last shot would have went off. Now Lou does indeed win, but that's mainly thanks to him using an amazing burger Lou skin. You're gonna do it again, aren't you? He did it. Now both Otis and Chuck have more than enough DPS to outgun Moe in this case, but Willow just doesn't stand a chance. And Amber is able to just win due to Moe's slightly slower reload time. Now in a game, I really think this is just fair game. There are plenty of times that this can go both ways. I mean, sure, Moe can use his super on Griff and take him out at just the right time, but if he pops up and Griff has a super ready, he's in for a big surprise. Willow, just like the other throwers, can do a good job. That is until Moe gets his super. However, other brawlers like Amber can beat Moe from range just by holding down a single button. Now, all in all, this matchup is pretty darn even, and I don't see a huge advantage either way, but Moe, with his shot, can indeed control a large area, dealing damage to his surroundings, so while he is a damage dealer, he squares off pretty well against these brawlers. Now, since Moe is indeed a damage dealer, it's only right to see how he stacks up against the other brawlers in his class. Now, you'll notice as we watch these matchups that for the most part, Moe has less health and does less direct damage than these other brawlers. But some others, like Colt, who have less health, Moe's fast unload speed helps him take home the win. He gets 3k shots against 8-bit, but his low health isn't enough. He does, however, smash Rico really fast, and against Carl, he just squeaks by. Colette brings him to the brink, but without her super, she can't finish him off. Now, he and Lola do die at about the same time, but that was with a 3k shot, which honestly is not going to happen very often. Pearl, however, decides it's rat for dinner, and she absolutely cooks him. And Tara, even with less health, still comes out on top. He manages to beat RT thanks to those big shots, but even with the same power, Clancy is able to burst him down just as fast. Likewise, Spike and Moe are putting out about equal damage, but Surge puts the stop to Moe's winning ways. Now in a game, once again, this is a pretty fair fight, but I'd give the slight edge to Moe's competitors here. Now Moe can deal a ton of damage if he's put in the perfect spot and both brawlers stay there, but in a game, yeah, that's not happening. Moe just does not deal a ton of direct damage. However, I think that you'll find over the course of a game, his overall damage is going to look pretty spicy. Combine that with his super, and he has the ability to surprise almost any of these brawlers and get a win. Now, Moe may have decent range to his shot, but it's not nearly as long as this group of brawlers. That being said, most of these marksmen have less hit points than Moe does. Now, Piper comes close, but she's gone before that last shot can land, and while B does make it close once again, she just dies too fast. However, Nani has plenty of power and pummels Moe. However, other marksmen like Bonnie do indeed have the health, and Moe can't get through it before she takes him out. Moe just barely gets the win against Belle, and it's dang close and an almost identical result against Mandy. Now, Maisie is able to reel off her shots faster with that quick unload time, but Angelo has to wait too long for that second shot, and it just never goes off. And then when Janet and Moe face off, it is a very close fight, but Janet reloads just a smidge faster, and that snags her the win. Now, in the game, there is a slight edge to the marksman here if they can keep their distance, because they do indeed all outrange Moe. However, that advantage is not an extreme amount. If he can get within range, he's going to stand a good chance, and combine that with a brawler that has a tiny hitbox and a lot of speed, it might be tough for you to hit those shots. Then, if you factor in his super and him being able to close that marksman's gap, the longer range advantage basically evaporates, as marksmen are going to be a prime target for Moe and his underground activities. Now, as we move on to the assassins, once again, I find a group that Moe really does have some things in common with. With Moe's super, he can close the gap on a lot of brawlers and deal huge damage when he gets up close. But without that super, he's not going to stand much of a chance against brawlers who love to initiate first contact on their turn. However, some of these fights are really close. Stu and Moe are pretty equal in damage output, but Edgar easily gets the best of him. He doesn't stand much of a chance against Buzz or Fang, as they have entirely too much health, and then Miko can pretty much beat anyone in a 1v1. Lily's buff allows her to win as well in a pretty quick match, and then Crow gets a rare win as well. Both Leon and Cord follow suit with decisive victories of their own. Now, a strange one here is Mortis. Since Moe's shots bounce, causing extra damage along its path, Mortis can win, but he can also lose horribly. And then it can even be a very close match. It really comes down to the timing of the shots and when and where those pebbles break. It's a bit RNG, but there are some things that you can do to help. The biggest help is just to wait until Moe uses up his shots before going in. Keep track of them, and when he's out of shots, you should be able to easily kill him. It's also better to go in with a super ready, so that if you start taking big damage, you can super and get some of that back. But all in all, the assassins should have the upper hand on Moe in most cases. That is, unless he turns into an underground assassin and turns the tables on you. And our last matchup is against the support brawlers, and on paper, it's just not going to be pretty. I mean, support brawlers usually don't pump out a ton of damage, and while Moe doesn't either, in most cases, it's certainly more than them. Except, of course, for Pam. Even with Moe hitting 3K shots and Pam standing back, not hitting all of her bolts, she still wins. Barry doesn't deal enough damage with his normal shot, but the consistent output from Max leaves her on top. Byron faces yet another new brawler without winning in this test, and when Ruffs matches up against Moe, the ending is really close. And then finally, it's the classic cat versus mouse. Tom versus Jerry, or Kit versus Moe as it were. When the shots start to fly, the tiny mouse gets the best of Kit and walks away the winner. So then, you have seen Moe 1v1 versus every brawler in Brawl Stars. Is he going to be any good? Is he fun to play? And what role does he fill, and where should you play him? Well, the answer isn't so clear, actually. First off, and most importantly, Moe is indeed very fun to play. He's fast, he deals decent damage, and he can get aggressive with his super. Now, there are going to be times when he can make some really great plays, like in Brawl Ball, but there are modes like Heist where I just do not think he's going to be very good. Now, on the positive side, his shot has quite a bit of area damage, and while there's not a lot of direct damage, the collateral damage is going to stack up, and on the scorecard, I think he's going to look pretty good. However, that shot is very inconsistent. It could be 1,000 damage on one shot and then a lucky 4,000 on the next. He has the ability to hit multiple enemies for 2,000 to 3,000 at a time if they're close together, but the problem is, you can just never count on it. Many times in Brawl Stars, you pick a fight knowing that you need that 1 or 2 shots to finish someone off, but in this case, you just never really know for sure, and that is a bit frustrating. That being said, his super is really good. He can act like a sort of assassin at times, although you're going to want to make sure you can confirm a kill or quickly you're going to become vulnerable. But it is great, and you're absolutely going to gank some lower hit point brawlers, which is a lot of fun. Now, his low hit points are a problem, but he makes up for it in speed and versatility, just like Ben 10. So yes, Moe is going to be good. He's not going to be a powerhouse like Clancy, he's not as dynamic as Melody, and he doesn't have the single shot power like Angelo, but it's like taking parts of a lot of good things and just like tossing them into a stew, and the end result is pretty darn good. Kind of like Ratatouille. Come on, I had to. No, that was a good joke. You guys suck.